Hey y'all, welcome back to Soulshift. We are back within a week. I told you it wouldn't be as long this time, and we're back. And oh my goodness, my light's kind of weird. Tomorrow is a milestone day in our house. Nova has her very last day of kindergarten. She'll officially be a first grader tomorrow. How you feel about that?
It went by quick. Feels like we just did the first day of school, and here we are.
Yeah, it's our first last day of school. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
and it's our first one, and Nova's feeling a lot of feelings because she said she likes being a kindergartner and she doesn't want to stop being a kindergartner, and she does not want to be a first grader because the big kids can be kind of mean, and she's not understanding that she is turned into one of the big kids. And yeah, I feel kind of sad too because kindergartner sounds like my baby, first grader sounds like a kid, and I'm not ready to have a kid yet.
You have a kid.
She just turned 6. Someone asked me, they said, "Did your daughter turn 6 on her birthday?" And I wanted to say no, she's only 5, but she's 6 and I don't understand. Speaking of Nova, our podcast day kind of relates to her as I feel like most of them do. Today we are talking about breaking generational curses. Kind of a deep one. What How would you describe generational curses, Christopher?
You could either it could be something you're aware of or something you're not aware of that you're, I guess, getting from your parents and through their parents. Something that's like kind of a family trait, or can be. It can be like a culture within your family. You know what I mean? It's like something that you guys have that they're it can be specific to your family or your extended family. You know what I'm saying? Like just what the culture is of your family, and even past that, different traits and other things that are getting inherited unintentionally by, like, you're absorbing that from your family. Not, it doesn't necessarily even have to be your parents. It could be like other people in your family, or a specific idea or tradition or type of response of things that your whole family engages in.
Yeah, and I think that having a child, because you kind of always know, like, your childhood, some people consider it a great childhood, or some people say they didn't have a great childhood, or they're in the middle, but you never really, at least I never really thought about how I was raised, and like things like the deep parts of how my parents raised me until I had Nova, and I had to really lock into what kind of mom I wanted to be. And my entire goal as a mom is to raise my daughter and any of my future children in a home where their childhood feels safe, joyful, and just loving. I tell Christopher all the time, I just think about every day when someone says, "How was your childhood?" I want her to say, "It was so much fun. It was so loving. I could talk to mommy and daddy about anything." That's what I want, and that's my goal. Did you have a goal as a dad?
Yes. A lot of the times, the generational curses, I think, are you don't know what you don't know. So you'll be in a situation like your whatever your family is, whatever you grew up in, and like for me, I thought it just kind of was what it was.
My whole goal with Nova is I just want her to look back and have so many things to smile about, to laugh about, to want to remember about her childhood that she's not even kind of coming to a point of unpacking generational curses. I don't want her to ever have to be in therapy unpacking the life that we gave her. And I'm not aiming to be a perfect mom, but I just really want to be an intentional mother.
Yeah. So I think that you're exactly right that you don't really know when you're a kid what it is. And for me, I didn't really understand what generational curses were, or that, or was able to identify them until you get married and you have this other person, and then you're comparing notes, and I'm like, oh, y'all didn't do that, or your house wasn't like that, or I'm saying memories from my childhood, and I'm just telling the story, and I casually look over and you are just horrified.
Yeah, it's it's been a learning, I don't want to say it's a learning curve, not for me a curve, but it has made me appreciate things a little more and understand why things kind of were the way they were. Something that Christopher and I both have related to quite a bit since we've been together is both of our parents, one thing that they had in common was that they didn't let us go many places or do many things. Like I didn't do sleepovers for a I think I maybe did two sleepovers when I was in elementary school. I didn't do things like that. Not a lot of people babysat me. If I went to dances, parties, anywhere my mom was like calling to see the people. Christopher said his parents were kind of the same. They were kind of like really strict on who he was with and where he went. And I hated it as a kid. And now I think we both have said, yeah, thank God my parents actually were kind of a pain in the butt and always hovering over me because the kids who weren't hovered, you can tell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So my childhood, when I think about the overall way to explain it, I had a great childhood. I was very loved. I had tons of support. We have a large family, but my main core, like my home where I lived, it was my mom, my dad, and myself. I was the only child in my house that lived in our home. Like cousins came in and out for sleepovers, but and who lived there, the three of us. And it was a great childhood. I'm very, very fortunate. I realize more now how fortunate I was, but there are still things that I experienced or witnessed that I would never want to repeat with Nova or any of my other children. um Something that I think is going to be big in this episode is realizing that breaking generational curses in the generational cycles does not always mean you have to be healing from something. Does not mean that you have a trauma from anything that happened. It could also just mean you want to improve a foundation that was good, but maybe we can make it great because now we have more awareness. How would you describe your childhood, babe?
It was it had its ups and downs. Um, I think that I was more fortunate than most. Um, I don't want to disregard my blessings. I do think that before we really get into this episode, and because I don't want to like just take shots at my parents, I think that they did their best to break the generational curses that they were aware of and that they could see or were able to wrestle with. And there were um, generational curses that my parents were able to break, like infidelity and other things that had been an issue previously for maybe their parents, or spousal abuse or anything like that that would have been a stronger thing before it got to our house. So like my parents really did do a really good job of breaking certain ones, and then other ones not so much. Um and there's some of the things, and one of the things that actually kind of I think I is the, when I was like thinking about this made me the most aware was things like alcoholism. You don't see as a generational curse if you're like, oh, this one's kind of fun. You're into it, but you're passing that on to your child, regardless of what your relationship is with it. How your genes mix with your partners, and if your partner has an addictive personality and you're got this, um, or you together have a culture of alcoholism or substance abuse in any kind of way, that can be absorbed by your child, not even intentionally, and you could be creating one. So, um, yeah, it was childhood was a mixed bag. I think I had a good childhood. I think I grew up in a good way, and I had a lot of blessings. But there was some flashpoints and some things that were not so great.
Yeah, I feel like it's so interesting because I want to say that everyone can relate to that, where your childhood has good and bad parts, like parts that are these high points and parts where it's like, man, that really sucked and I would never do it again. And the thing is that I do think everyone has that, but knowing I don't know how much of Christopher's story he wants to share today, but I know his story, and us being together, it's hard for me to say there are parts of my childhood that weren't so great, because there's parts of his that he has to heal from. And I don't think that I have to heal from any of mine. There's definitely things that I'm like, yeah, that wasn't the best way to handle things, and I'm not going to deal with my kid, but I don't feel like I need to heal from it. So it is definitely different. Like when I thought about doing this podcast at first, um, a lot of thoughts that I had were kind of like, oh yeah, I would never do this. It was a lot of things I wouldn't do because I thought they were, they were terrible. And after talking to my husband more and getting, other perspectives, like you said, he had a good childhood too. It's just that he considers mine great because it's totally different than what he was ever used to. So it's really interesting to get another side of it when we were doing this podcast. Um, do you want anything to that before we move on?
Yes, because it's also the flip side of that is I can see, or at least I'm aware enough that I can see, like, I'm like, wow, you had all these things, but I can see how everybody has their own battles. You know what I mean? So, like, as fortunate or as great and privileged as I may have felt like your situation is, I can also see through you where your struggles were and how that was a battle for you. And especially in a lane where you can only view the world through your lens, I can see how that is still like your battle and your struggle.
Which parts you mean, like privilege, money, or like like body shaming pieces of it?
That
The body shaming. Yeah.
and well, I don't know if that's quite your experience with your parents, but like for me, the big one that I feel like I've already broken is the like authoritarian parenthood of just like it is my way and it's just no we're not talking about it. You just do what you're told and like it.
Yeah, that's it's actually it's this has been interesting because the way I kind of approach my notes for this is going about things that I've been doing differently. And the very first thing I put on my list was that I have open communication over silence, or just saying because I said so. I never say because I said so. Because something I've also learned in as an educator and in college was that kids, they ask questions, they can be big, they could be small, but they're asking the question because they don't know the answer and they actually are confused. And as a parent, it is our job to help solve that for them. If I tell Nova, I need you to clean up these toys in your floor. You need to pick them up. And she goes, why? My parents would be pissed. They'd be like, don't question me. Do what I say. You need to go clean up your room, clean up your toys. Christopher, he might want to share his would be handled differently, but same thing.
I would never ask why. I may have done it once. I did not ever do that again.
Right, but it's not because you all when you asked why, you really wanted to know why, correct?
Yeah, I mean you're curious, and I always explain myself to Nova. She probably wishes that I did not explain myself. She's like, "Daddy, I know."
She does say I know a lot.
I'm like, "No, I'm telling you, this is exactly why we're gonna do it, and so that way you don't have any questions. So don't be like, I don't know what we're talking about. Like, this is what needs to happen."
Yeah, I just anyone who's listening to this, please understand that it could be really annoying when you're asking a question that you as a 30, 40, however old you are person, when you tell a kid something and it makes total sense to you, your kids, they have children brains. They do not know. They're children, they don't know. And they're asking you because they really do want to know. My child is so curious. She wants to know all of the things. She has so many questions, and when I tell her things, usually she's going to say, "Why, mom? Like, that doesn't make sense to me." And I just explain it. And usually 9 times out of 10, once you explain it to her, she'll say, "Oh yeah, I know, I forgot." She just wanted to know, and that's it. It wasn't even a disrespect thing. I don't know why that was seen as disrespect by our families.
I don't. It it comes from, I think, just this is how you parent because you learn that from your parents, and then if you don't think through it, it's easier, and it, you know what I'm saying, like it takes, just do, I'm in charge, you do what I say because I'm in charge, and then it doesn't really build trust in communication between you and the child. And depending on what other generational curses you have going on, a lot of people in the black community are beating their children and using corporal punishment as a way to do it. It turns the communication into a survival where now the child is, if they fear you, and they are going to do what they need to do to survive instead of tell you the truth. So it breaks trust, and now the kid is going to not want to come to you and try to do what they need to do because you are now also a threat. So like now I need to avoid at all costs how am I going to avoid this consequence. Um what that looks like for me as an adult is, and I know this drives Danielle crazy, is just hypervigilance of watching and analyzing people's behaviors, their body language, to try to gauge what is going to happen next. And you're, I'm very aware of that because I would, as a child, would be like, how do I not set this person off to get a consequence? Like, I don't want to get a whooping. So now I need to make sure that everything that I do is through the lens of not getting, is of a lens of compliance, which I guess is part of the goal there, but not the kind that I want to engender into my child, because I think you can get to that end goal with just taking a few extra seconds to explain yourself.
Yeah, I often say that parenting where the child just is in fear. So of course it's like, okay, well, my parenting's working because they do everything I say. It's because they're terrified of you. It would devastate me for that to be how Nova had to view me. Um, but yeah, it's definitely definitely a crazy thing to have to think about. Something else that I definitely do that was not very popular in my house is I apologize when I'm wrong. Like I take accountability when I do something wrong. There were times where I would be like, no, that's not what happened. I didn't, this is not how it went. And no matter what, it was whatever an adult said went before me. It was just, that's the truth. They're an adult, you're a child. And if I said, "Oh, that's not true," or whatever, I'd get in trouble because I'm calling someone a liar. Like that was a massive thing in my home. Don't say liar. Don't call people liars, even if what they're saying is a lie. And I don't ever teach Nova that. Um, if an adult has done something, or if they're telling me a lie about you, you need to tell me about that. I want to know what happened, and I want you to tell me. And I feel like we've been doing a great job with Nova, um, with letting her know that there is no one in the entire world, not a grandma, not a grandpa, auntie, uncle, nobody, that is more important to us than you are. If there is something you need to tell us about anyone in this whole wide world, you can tell us and we will listen. We want to know, actually. And if we usually don't blame her for things, but apologize. We apologize all the time. Chris just apologized to her yesterday because he told her he was going to play something he couldn't. Like, we just apologize. He would say, Daddy told you we're going to do this and we're not. And Daddy, sorry, because I lost track of time and that's my fault. I don't know. Did you get apologies? Like, did your parents apologize to you? Or did they really not? You didn't, you probably didn't, even rock the boat enough for that to be a thing.
They would in certain contexts. Uh, for the stuff like I I still haven't gotten some of the apologies that I want, but the in the moments of like certain things, yes. In other situations, no. One of the things you hit on, um, that is, I think, a big one is the letting your child know that that can be a generational curse and just a you not might not see it that way in your way of parenting, but letting your child know that you're advocating with them, that you believe them, and that you're on their side. Um, Specifically, like you were saying, them you're when it's when you get into a situation when it's the child's word versus your word, and like the one of the worst times or events of something that happened when I was a kid was very much that, where it was my word versus an adult's word, and the parent chose to believe the adult versus me, and that resulted in a punishment that was really unfortunate. And that has just stayed with me for so long because I was like falsely accused and I felt just so much injustice. And to this day, I cannot stand for me to feel like something isn't fair. Like it needs to be fair. Like I need this.
Yeah, he means this in the most minuscule thing to the most massive thing. My husband and I could be watching like Star Wars, even like you guys have heard this before. He will not let it go because he needs me to understand why things were not fair, or and if I don't agree, he's like, okay, well, I failed at communicating this. Like I need you to understand. But he is very big on justice and everything being fair, and I did not realize really until probably a few months ago how much this stems from the event he's talking about. And it clicked with me and I was like, this is why he is that way. And it honestly, when I thought about it, it really helped me understand more. Cause at first I was like, why is he being so childish about these things? Like, who cares? Move on. Who cares what they think? But now it makes more sense when I think about it in the sense of why he's big on justice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And that's kind of one of the things. So like it's funny when Nova tells me that things aren't fair. I was like, I promise you, it's even. Like, Daddy is not out here to persecute you. That ain't happening.
I always tell Nova, like, do you know what fair means? I ask her that all the time. Do you know what it means? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, I don't think you do. But yes, Nova lives a very fair life. Even though to her sometimes it doesn't make sense why, she has to take a bath and it's so not fair. Or she has to, wear shoes instead of just socks outside and it's so not fair. That's where Nova is of things being fair. Like my mommy wouldn't let me wear my socks outside because that's where we are. So I think we're doing pretty good. If unfair to Nova, if injustice to Nova is the fact that wasn't she mad the other day that we like made her do a seatbelt or something? Like keeping her safe is her injustice. That's fine. I'll take it. But that is something else that I think. Well, me, I'll let Christopher speak for his own comparisons, but something that this was not like a massive thing in my home, but I remember it in a lot of ways. I love to dance. I started dancing when I was 3 years old. I liked dance. I liked music, and very much how my daughter is now. She like tumbles and dances around the entire day. I was very much that same person, and my family didn't really like a lot of noise and jumping around for whatever reason. And I think that's something that we've done is we create a lot of space for Nova to just have fun and be creative and dance and really just love her life and dance because she wants to dance, do a flip because she's learning how. And we only ever tell her like take a break because she's sweating and about to, like collapse. But we always create space for her to do that. It's not hurting anything. Like, do you want to dance? Go for it. Can you dance over there so that mommy can hear this? Or go for it. It's not hurting anything. We really have let her just really form into who she wants to be. Nova has just blossomed a lot, and she just goes around here drawing and everything, and she's loud and she's fun, and it's always, mommy, look at me, daddy, watch this, look what I learned. And I love that. That wasn't my experience. It was very much, you're too loud, stop jumping, what are you doing? It was always like, why, what are you doing, why, what are you doing, sit down, you're too loud, you're doing this, you're jumping. It was very much, can you just sit in one spot or watch something and do it quietly, because what are you what are you doing? And I didn't like that, and so I don't do that to my kid.
Um, we were allowed to like be kids. There was three of us, so it wasn't like we were like had to be quiet. At a certain,
They were outnumbered, so the parents were like, look, at this point.
so like after a certain time of the night, like once it gets to be a certain time, it's like, hey, chill out, go somewhere. But for the most part, it wasn't really like that. Other big ones that we had that I can identify in my own personal experience was like rage and anger management, because you see, and that's kind of goes back to like the same thing of like the authoritarianism and the you're transferring all of that. So like I learned how to be angry by watching this person be angry, and um being defenseless and being the butt of that only fuels that more, because I can't defend myself. So now I'm like just bottled up and I have to take it because I live here and I'm the one that just has to eat it. I have no one to transfer this on to. So I'm just walking around with this negative energy that the person is projecting when they do that. And you just are like looking for outlet. And whether or not, I don't want to get into the psychology of whether or not, that's the rage is like genetic or whatever, and you just have these tempers, or if it's learned through that behavior, whatever. But I think as something I'm very careful of in watching for Nova is to make sure she knows how to manage that. And I try to help her with strategies. Like I have to work on myself and not react like that. So every time that she's getting upset and raising her voice, she's like, I'm like, you, and I hit her with this all the time. I was like, Nova, I never raise my voice at you. Ever. Ever. Daddy does not yell at you. So
Yeah, usually I Nova, she feels a lot of emotion. She's very, she feels everything. So a lot of time Nova's frustration and her whatever it is comes through in shrieks. Like she will just be so frustrated, pulling at herself and being upset because number one, she's not communicating what she really needs and she doesn't really know what the problem is. And I often say, do I talk to you like that? I don't talk to you that way. Just talk to me. And usually she can calm down. Usually she can. Nova received her temper and her feistiness very honest. Like Christopher just said, it is, he part of him and he works on it. He's done much better. Like people have been much safer in the streets. My husband has grown a lot. Um, but this, I don't know why I have such a short fuse. I don't know if it's something from my childhood. Maybe I should unpack it, but I can't think of anything. My parents weren't like angry people. My mom was an anxious person, which would cause her to seem panicky to me, but she wasn't angry. And my dad definitely wasn't angry. So I don't know, but I do have a very short fuse and it does not take a lot to make me angry. But I don't know where it came from.
and that's kind of what I mean. Like it doesn't have to be uh inherited thing, but it definitely can be a culture and something that can be a generational curse and can present in many different ways. It can be, say, it's not your parents not like that. It can be something like my family is like this, and you all don't mess with us. If y'all come mess with our family, we're gonna all whatever. And that is fine in a controlled way, but depending on how that turns out and what that looks like, yes, you should protect your family. You probably shouldn't present yourself like a mafia. Mm-hmm. So you just need to make sure that it's not that it camaraderie is one thing, creating a culture and a curse of something that makes you that it can be toxic to people that are even you're trying to introduce your family to that can be something that's not healthy. Another thing that I think can be a generational curse in a way is, I don't know how to word this, but just like, or maybe you, because you're better at this is a big one for you, is like, oh, that's just how that person is in our family, so we're just gonna.
Ooh. That is massive. That is such a trigger to me. And I do teach Nova this exact thing. You do not have to have anyone in your life that disturbs your peace, that makes you feel uncomfortable. And if that is the way that they are, that's fine. That does not mean that you have to accept it and have it in your life. I am someone who does not, I don't live by that. My parents do, and they have. Someone could disturb their peace and they could know they're not good for them, and they will suffer and they'll take on that, discomfort for the peace of everyone else. Christopher Sade is that to a T. He does that daily, and it infuriates me. And I don't think it's an acceptable thing to say. I don't think it is. If someone's a malicious person, if someone's a nasty person, and everyone, the family just writes it off and says, oh, we'll ignore it. That's just how she is. Stop being that way then. That's how she is. I don't have to choose to deal with it. And there are several people that I have known and witnessed that I don't understand. And it doesn't get better because it's always, oh, that's just how they are. You know them. What did you expect? I expect better, and they should expect better. If we all expected better, if we all stopped, saying, "Oh, it's fine. It's just how they are," maybe we would make some progress.
Yeah. I really struggle with that one.
Yep.
I am very empathetic, and I always try to put myself in another person's shoes before I make decisions on things, and that always usually leads me to giving people way more chances than they deserve. My wife has one strike.
Not always one.
Yes, you're right. I am available to petition for 2 and 3 for y'all, but I can't help y'all after that.
I don't know. I think it might be a little more than one. I guess it depends on what the first strike is, Oh, is that a special guest at the door? Hold on. Why don't we ask Nova how she would describe her childhood? Let's see what she says. Hold on. Come in. She's almost reached her limit of independent play. Hey, come here. We have to ask you a question. You want to be on the podcast for a second?
Yeah.
Come here. Please give these to me. Don't let anybody see. Your foot. Okay. Oh, let's get a blanket on. Oh, everything's falling apart. Oh my gosh. Okay, ready? Here's the microphone. All right, we're here with Nova Seide. She had been playing alone and doing her own thing for about 30 minutes, and I think she reached her limit. And so she was like, "Look, where are y'all at? How was your day?
Good.
You had a good day. What'd you do today?
I went to school.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you have dance pictures?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tomorrow is your last day of kindergarten. How do you feel?
Sad.
You're pushing buttons, baby.
Yeah. Sad. Yeah.
You're a little sad.
Sad. Very sad.
Why? Why are you very sad?
Because I want to stay in kindergarten because we will do fun stuff.
Maybe you'll do fun stuff in first grade. I really liked first grade. I had Mrs. Lumpkin, and I loved doing sponge activity. If you went to Trace's Elementary and you had Mrs. Lumpkin, do you remember Sponge Activity? It was so fun. Christopher,
No.
who'd you have for first grade?
Miss Priest.
Miss Priest. See, what is it about elementary school teachers? Everyone remembers them. Hope my students all remember me. Nobi. So mommy and daddy were talking about childhoods. Do you know what a childhood is?
You know? I kind of know.
Okay, what do you think? What is it? What's a childhood? Hold on, let me try and get your face back. Okay, what is a childhood?
It's it's like when the parent was when they were little. When they were little, that was their childhood. When they were little.
Yeah, it's like when you're little, when you're growing up, and you live with your parents, right?
Yeah.
How would you describe your childhood? Like, what words would describe yours?
Homeless?
Homeless?
I don't know.
Okay, so mommy would say, I would say my childhood was fun. I would say that it was adventurous. We did a lot of traveling. How would you describe it? I would say it's funny. How would you describe your childhood so far? You're only 6.
Funny.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Dancy.
Dancy. What else?
Grady.
What's that mean?
Write all the time.
Huh?
Writing.
Oh, like we write things?
Yeah, like drawing.
Oh, okay. So it's an artsy childhood.
Doodling.
Okay.
Making cards.
We make a lot of crafts, huh?
Yeah, even this.
How? Yes, I save all your crafts. How would you describe your parents?
Funny.
We're funny. What else? Okay, you're
Funny.
funny. That's what we are. Mom and dad are just funny.
Artsy.
We're artsy. Anything else?
Funny.
We're so funny. We're comedians.
Daddy's pretty funny.
Daddy's not that
too
funny.
funny.
Daddy's not funnier than mommy.
But Daddy goes too far.
Daddy, you go too far with your jokes, man.
He goes too far.
Too far. Yeah.
No, get him back.
Yeah.
Daddy, I can't see you on the other camera.
It's okay. Would you say that your childhood is loving?
No.
No? Why not? Do you know what that means to be loving?
No.
It means that you feel a lot of love in your home and in your life. Do you think you're loved? Who loves you? They can't see.
Mommy and Daddy.
Mommy and daddy love you. Does your family love you? Do you think we'll keep you safe and protect you? Yeah?
Yeah.
When do you have to worry?
No, for nothing.
You don't have to worry about anything, right?
Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah. What's our job? What's mommy and daddy's job?
Keep me safe.
Keep you safe. That's right. Well, thanks for coming and answering some questions with me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prince.
If you're watching on YouTube, Nova says bye. She's going to go play until we're almost done.
Mommy.
Okay. I'll see you in a second, okay? We're almost done recording, all right? Okay, well that is Nova Seide telling us how we have a homeless childhood. I don't know what that means, but great. How do you feel about hearing Nova's answers, Christopher?
I'm glad she thinks I'm so funny.
You're not that funny. I'm definitely funnier.
I am hilarious.
Is that really what you got out of what she said?
She's precious. It was cool.
Well, I took that as pat on the back, mom. You're doing it right, girl. That's what I got. Because even though she said she has a homeless childhood, she also said that it was artsy, because we're so artsy over here, guys. And it was fun and loving, kind of, she said loving. And she said some other stuff, but all of it was good. Everything we were talking about not wanting to do, it seems like we're on the right track. And I guess we're doing pretty good. Can you think of anything else you want to share? Any other things that you came into fatherhood saying you were absolutely not doing?
This wasn't necessarily something that my parents did. It was kind of something else that I saw around me in other people, like playing sports. Um, would be like attributing their love conditionally to performance or like other things to like I can remember guys on our teams that their parents would treat them a certain way. Like I wanted. Well, that's actually I'm glad you said that because there's two different ones. Is making sure that I show up for Nova's things is so important to me because that was something that I didn't really have all the time. And the flip side of that was being the latchkey kid at wrestling practice was watching the coach's kid and what his life was like because that was the other like literally watching the other side of the coin and just being like dang man like my dad's not here but that is rough and it's just like I felt really bad for that dude watching that because it was a and I could see how that would create problems for them and pressure to perform and attributing that success to love and everything else. It was just really rough. So
Yeah, that's something I can agree with that because I Nova doesn't ever really express this to me, but I Nova loves dance. Everyone I danced. I started dancing when I was 3. Nova started at 4. Um, and or was she 3? I don't know. Maybe she was 3 turning 4. She just turned 4. But we were close to the same age, and she loves dance so much. And something that I've always tried my very best, and I still do try. Christopher's, thinks I'm kind of crazy about it and that I'm doing okay, but I don't ever want to put pressure on her to feel that she has to do what I did or that she has to be like me or do any of those things. And I really am hyper aware of it and I do my very best to not do that. And many people say like it could be true, but it makes me so self-conscious. People always say, "Oh, well, she's doing dance because of you," or "She is trying to do well at dance because of you," or "She's only good because of you." And you're like, and I'm not. I promise I'm not. She really does love it. She does it on her own, and she loves it. And I don't ever compare us. Fun fact: she doesn't even think I'm a good dancer, so there's that. Um, but yeah, I see the other side of I'm like the coach's kid. I see that I never want to be that. I don't want to ever make her feel she has to compare or live up to me.
yeah, so I don't know. I just want to encourage her. I always try to be careful how I'm motivating her. Like I always want to push her. Like I do try to encourage her. I just am very, very um aware of how I'm doing it and not trying to make her feel pressured, more just motivating and giving her value and not making her feel like the success is conditional to like her love, that the love is always there. But hey, you gotta, I mean, we do want to compete and do all that, but it's not tied to how I feel about you in any way.
Yeah, very true. And we are in the dance community and not in our immediate dance community. This is I love our group because they very much are moms more like me where trophies are nice, but if you don't get one, you don't get one. It's going to be fine. But trust and believe there is a very toxic part of the dance community where children do feel like their love for their parents and their value is attached to trophies, placement, how well they did, what did the judges say about you? And I am so sorry. Like that is horrible, a horrible, horrible thing to feel, especially from a parent, because that's a level of pressure that's unattainable.
um, I know we're trying to wrap up, babe. I'm trying to see the other ones that I took notes on.
Yeah, I feel like we brought some up that I didn't even remember. Oh, one that I did forget. Those would be my last point. Honestly, one of the bigger ones, and I Chris might be right by his opening statement because maybe I do just repress it because it was such a huge part of my life and probably is now was body shaming. And I say that because it's honestly what it was. But I know that the family members that did this had no idea that that's what was happening, and they didn't think anything was wrong with it. They thought it was funny. They thought it was cute, even though I made it pretty clear that I didn't think it was funny or cute. But I have always had a very, how would you describe? I I I don't know the way to say it, but I've always had like hips, and I'm smaller in the waist, and you get it. You get where we're going. And my family, some why is it
I'm sorry. This we're being serious. I'm just saying, big fan.
Anyway, um I had several nicknames around that, and I hated it. And it went on forever. I have always held on to that through dance, because even in some dance situations that would come up, like certain costumes, because oh well, we don't want it to show too much of this, or we are going to put you in that because we want you to stand out more, or you try out for something and they're like, okay, well you can't do this because you don't really fit the theme because of your hips. So yeah, that has carried on to kind of now, but that translated as a mother, because I am like, just I'm vicious about words that are said to Nova. And you can't say, "Oh, you're getting so big." You can tell her she's growing. She's not getting big. I don't want her to internalize big as a bad thing. You can't, there's no reason to describe any parts of her hips or anything else being any size. There's no need for that. And I have been speaking about that since she was a baby, and I will continue to. Also, not my experience, not my daughter's experience. This is totally not, it was not in my notes, but it needs to be said that please, when your families are doing these kinds of things around your children, please stop making your children be the ones that has to adjust for the family member. Not, oh, when someone's talking about her hips, okay, well, you just need to stop wearing those shorts to grandma's. You need to stop doing this. You need to not, don't wear those V necks when you go there, because they're going to say something. Why is your child having to adjust the way they dress, the things they do and say, because a family member there is inappropriate and making them feel uncomfortable? The family member needs to be addressed, not the child. And that's something else that we do in our house. That wasn't part of my childhood, but in our house, that is for sure. If the family member's the problem, they got to go. We're not adjusting anything she's doing because you can't be appropriate. Do you have any final thoughts, husband? Anything you want to add?
Well, I kind of wanted to react to that too
Go
because
for it.
honestly, I was kind of guilty of not what you're talking about, but other things that would be considered body shaming to my sisters in some ways, you know what I'm saying? Which was, and it wasn't even coming from me. Like those nicknames, like you're saying, for one of my sisters came from one of your favorite people in my family, but it would be something that probably didn't make her feel good. And we probably shouldn't have been calling her that. You know what I'm saying? And it's, when you look back on it, that's what I'm saying. Like, I really don't want to, I'm really not trying to demonize or like, make anybody feel bad, but you just reflect on these things, and that's kind of what the generational curses are. Like, you're looking back and you're like, man, this really wasn't good. Like, we probably could do better here. And you're trying to make that adjustment for yourself and for your family so that your kids can at least explain to them or have those conversations with them eventually that, hey, this is, even if I'm doing this, like, this is not how we should be doing this. Like, I understand that this is a problem and I'm trying to work on it, but I'm like moving out. We as us, our bloodline is moving away from doing this. Like, we can't continue like this. We need to be better here. And being transparent, that goes back to the communication, explaining your why, where you're not just operating out of a way of just telling your kids this is how it is. You're saying like, hey, this is what we need to strive to be as a people. Like, this is how it should be going, and this is where we're going. This is what my vision for us is. And like, when they're old enough to understand and you can try to communicate those things, you definitely should, because that's how the curses get broken.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. I think so. I think it's going pretty well. And I feel like we are I think we're gonna learn more as she continues to get older, but so far so good. I give myself I think I got a minus maybe. I'm not an A plus yet, but I'll be there eventually.
I mean, I think you're a pretty great mom in general. So
Best compliment I can get. All right. Well, I hope that that this resonates with someone. I hope that someone who could be struggling with this looks into that, dives in and see how you can, handle some of those things. Are you healing from something? See what you need. As always, send us a message, a DM. We would love to hear, your stories. If there's things you're healing from, or maybe not healing, but you're just, advancing from, I would love to hear about it. And I think we might do an episode later about like how some of the things that we dealt with in our childhoods, how are we handling now, just for ourselves, not for our kid. What do you think?
like personal, yeah.
Yeah, like how am I was body shamed, how is it affecting me now? Like I know that no one's doing that to Nova, but what about me? Like how am I handling it as an adult?
Yeah, because I got a couple projects. I'm glad you brought that up, because I was trying to be like, am I gonna, were we gonna say, because there was one more that we didn't talk about that is definitely going to be another episode, and that's especially in the Black community, like how, like, not recognizing mental health and not thinking that
Mm-hmm.
ADHD is a real thing or anything like that.
Oh yeah, that's coming up very soon.
Yeah, we should definitely figure out how to address these ones, or do an episode about how we're trying to figure out how to solve some of this.
A little generational curses part 2. All right, well, this was fun. This was a good episode. I hope you all enjoy it. I hope that it can spark some conversations in your households. And if maybe you can, if you have children and there's something that drives your parenting, maybe you can give yourself a pat on the back too, and you realize you're doing a good job and you are breaking generational curses. All right, y'all. We'll be back next Wednesday with our next episode. I actually don't remember what's on our plan for next week, but I'm sure it'll be fire. So I'll talk to you then. Bye.
Peace.